The question today is, will chickpeas egg? Well, these are chickpeas, so hello friends and not yet friends, welcome back to Mary's Test Kitchen, where we've seen chickpeas be bread, chickpeas be noodles, we've even seen chickpeas be tofu in a couple of different forms. Burmese-style tofu, which is made more like polenta than regular tofu, and more polenta-like macros. And on the other side of the spectrum, a high-protein, low-carb version that is made almost exactly like regular tofu. Both great ways to use chickpeas. But seeing as if I take these chickpeas, which I have soaked overnight in water, and then drain them and put them in a blender, along with plenty of water, at least double their volume, run it at max speed in the old Vitamix for 30 seconds, then milk them through a nut milk bag to make raw chickpea milk. And get myself an arm workout while we're at it, as well as this chickpea fiber pulp, which can be turned into many things. But back to the milk, I'll let it rest so the starch can settle to the bottom so that we can skim off the high-protein chickpea milk. And then cook it. And while it heats up to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, it starts to curdle by itself, no coagulant like gypsum, nigari, lemon juice, or vinegar needed. These curds start to look a bit like scrambled eggs. Can this turn into fluffy scrambled eggless eggs? Now, I know some of you, smart people, might already be thinking, chickpeas have already been turned into crepes and frittata-like things in Indian cuisine. Pudla, also called chilla. My pronunciation, questionable, but the taste? Undeniably great, especially when you follow a recipe by the mighty Vegan Risha. I got this one out of her cookbook, Vegan Risha's Indian Kitchen. So good, such a good cookbook, the best, you should buy it. Link in the description if you like. And I've done a chickpea quiche before. Sunday brunch has never tasted this good, so I'll leave a link in the description for you. But those are relatively high carb, and I, today, want high protein, closer to a real egg scramble. But this is a vegan channel, in case you're wondering why would one go to such lengths. And I'm not made of money, which is why I don't just grab a carton of Just Egg TM and call it a day. When I use the plant-based product Just Egg, I am normally using it in small amounts like in my vegan keto fried rice, so I can stretch a carton as much as possible. Plus, I've gotten so many requests to try something like this over the years, I can only ignore you for so long before I crack like an egg. Speaking of, this simmering pan of chickpea milk is finally starting to resemble scrambled eggs. It took a while, and I even used a strainer to help drain out some of the water, not just relying on evaporation. Plus, I chose this large pan for the large surface area. You know, more surface area, faster evaporation. I've also gathered a few seasonings to give this the best shot. Kala namak, another thing I'm probably pronouncing wrong, comes from Indian cuisine. It's a type of salt that has a sulfurous flavor, so it gives anything you put it on an eggy flavor. I think this definitely looks the part. But does it taste the part?
The texture is definitely there. If you added sauteed vegetables in here, it would make a pretty good scramble. But still, I don't think you would. Could you be fooled into thinking this is eggs? No. No, but it is good. So it really does not taste like eggs. Eggs are like much more plain, and these are very, it's like as if you mixed vegetable broth in with eggs. It's very savory. But the texture is nearly there. I think it needs a little richness. It's a little, almost like you added protein powder. Like it's very proteiny. Probably because it's just protein and there's like hardly any fat in there. So we're almost there. We're on our way.
In short, it does not. It tastes like very concentrated chickpea protein, which is to say not a bad flavor, but very strong and not like eggs. Round 2. I'm using 1 pound of dried chickpeas soaked overnight, and then I make it into milk. You can see underneath there is starch that has settled to the bottom, but I'm not skimming it off yet because I'm gonna add hemp hearts. I have some leftover hemp hearts in here. That's only 30 grams, but I want a total of 175 grams of hemp hearts. Instead of water, I'll skim off some of the chickpea milk while avoiding the starch layer, which has settled to the bottom. By now you know the drill. Into the nut milk bag. This is my favorite nut milk bag. It has lasted me for years. If you want a very good, trusty nut milk bag, this is the one. I'll link in the description for you. You're welcome. I can use this pulp for different things. Add it to bread, make it into crackers. For now, I'll save it in the fridge because my focus is on the hemp chickpea milk now, of which there is 1,837 milliliters, or 7 cups and 3/4. This time, I have 2 different plans for this one batch of milk. So more than half of it is gonna go in this jar for now. And the remainder, 3.5 cups, goes into this pan. And I'll try it like before, heating it up and simmering until the water has evaporated. After some time, this looks pretty darn good. But how does it taste? It's just too savory. It's like too flavorful for eggs. Well, the more black salt I put on this, the more it does taste like eggs. It is richer. It is better than the last round. However, the hyper savoriness of this is like if you made a scramble out of just chicken egg yolk. The texture is like scrambled eggs made with too much milk. Can you guess what we'll do with the rest of the milk? Let's see if chickpeas and hemp hearts together can combine to make the ultimate tofu. You may have seen that hemp hearts can indeed make some incredible soy-free tofu in my series Will It Tofu, though the rich texture makes it more like cheese than tofu in both bite and satiety. We've already seen that chickpea milk will self-coagulate as well, so I expect good curds. Meanwhile, I'll set up my favorite tofu press, the tofu press I love so much that now I have 3 of them. I just bought the 3rd one very recently. If you want one of these as well, I've left the link in the video description so you can read about it at your leisure. Back to the pot, we can see the curds forming. The nice, large, fluffy curds that I expected, which tells us some nice tofu is on the horizon. Afterwards, I'll transfer the curds to my tofu press, try to keep things even in there, and fold over the cloth. Add the pressing lid and the pressing top It has a spring inside, so it's already adding some pressure. You could turn the knob more for more pressure, but I'm not going to because I want this tofu to be a little softer than my usual, you know, like eggs. And pour out the excess liquid. Time for a whey taste test. Pretty good. Chickpea whey is always so flavorful, and with the hemp seeds added to it, I don't think it really adds much of a flavor. It's all very savory and vegetal. It's gonna make a really lovely base for a vegetable soup. I'll chill this overnight in the fridge, and the next day we'll find out how it tastes. It's the moment of truth. It's giving slightly watery egg yolks, to be honest. So it definitely is not as strong tasting as the scrambles we've made so far, but I'm just not convinced that this is going to make a better egg scramble, vegan egg scramble, than just regular soy tofu. Because you know how egg yolks, they have that texture. You know what I mean if you've had egg yolks. It's not like grainy or chalky, but it's like halfway there. If you know what I mean, it's creamy, but not grainy or chalky. But if it wasn't creamy, it would be grainy or chalky. You know what I mean. I would call that a major fail for trying to be eggs, but if it was trying to be egg yolks, yeah, you could take this, color it, and use it as your egg yolk in your fake vegan egg for this Easter. That's an idea. Add a little black salt, add a little, maybe something like turmeric for color. Except for that bitter flavor of turmeric. So I would try to find some other natural colorant. Annatto maybe? Yeah, annatto, black salt, that's your vegan egg yolk. I would say that would be convincing. But for the egg white part or for a scramble, I don't think so.